Hello, thanks for tuning in. On the workbench today, I have this interesting Union Jack Leppard guitar. It's a Lion, which is an import from Washburn. I believe this is from the 80s, maybe late 80s. But it's got some issues. It needs a new switch, not just because the end's broken, but the switch just doesn't work. And 3 of the 4 pots are completely bad. Output jack, I fixed it a little. It needed to be bent, but it should be fine. We're going to make sure that the pickups have output, and it needs a new nut. Also going to, I think the frets are okay. Going to do a fret polishing. We're going to condition this fretboard, and we're going to set it up, put strings on it. So that's probably going to be, 2-3 videos to get through it. Also, it has a terrible ground too. I'm going to replace the ground under the bridge. The wire is just brittle and shot. So let's start out by desoldering everything and put you in a good spot here. And all right, let me take all this stuff off. Okay. So let's just desolder. Let me turn on my my ventilator fan. Sorry if that's a little loud, but it's way better than me sucking in these fumes. Honestly, with this, I could really just cut it because I'm not going to reuse any of it. But some things, like for the jack, I want to desolder because it'll make it easier to resolder. And I want to, I may reuse these capacitors too. They look fine. We'll see. I'll check them. I want to check the pickups too. See if they're any good. And we'll do that once we get all this off. So let me desolder all this, and then we'll check the pickups. Okay, so that big tangled mess of crap wire is gone. Let's check these pickups. All right, I think this is. I'll have to really look, but I think this is the bridge. I think. So let's check it with the multimeter. Make sure the pickup's good. Yeah, it's reading at 10.88. All right. Good medium kind of humbucker there. And I believe this is the neck. Again, I'll double check, but reading at 10.86. So yeah, good. Both pickups are good. All we'll do is replace the potentiometers and the switch. We'll pull those out. I know the jack is good because I had tried that already. Yeah, so let's flip this over. Get rid of these strings. Are I don't know. My best guess, they're probably on it since the 80s. So it's going to get a nice fresh set of GHS 10s. I mean, he didn't specify anything, so that is what I keep in stock here. Why isn't that cutting? Yeah. I do believe that was a user error. All right, let me pull these off, and let's take a look at, we'll take this bridge off after that. Okay. Took the screws off the bridge, and yeah, that ground wire, there's not much to it that's left, and it's just crap. It's brittle. Let me see here. I might be, well, actually, I might be able to save it. Probably not. I think I'm just going to put a new one on. The electronics in this, I don't know if they're original, to be honest. I mean, I know this didn't come with great electronics, great potentiometers, etc., but this stuff is really bad, like Temu bad. So I suspect, because I believe this was from a pawn shop, I suspect that maybe someone maybe took it out and changed it. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just glad I'm glad we're getting it out of there and give this guitar some life. All right, let's see here. All right, we're just gonna put that ground wire right through. There we go. This is how I strip wire most of the time. I'm not suggesting you do this, but it's fast. It works nicely. Also very easy to burn yourself, so be aware if you decide to do things like that, and don't breathe it in. There we go. That's going to be much better. Matter of fact, there's no reason to keep the bridge off. Let's just go ahead and put it back on. But it had some grounding issues, which it first came into to the shop here with grounding, quote unquote grounding issues, but there's a whole lot more going on. But part of the grounding issues was it just wasn't grounding well at the bridge. So when I desoldered everything, some things were just barely soldered on, and there was at least one cold solder. So it had a lot of stuff going on. So what when I checked it all out, we just decided that it's best to go ahead and just replace the electronics. And it's in really desperate need of a setup. So there we go. All right. Make sure all this is tight. I generally snug it up good with the drill, and then make sure it's completely tight by hand so that I don't strip anything. All right, good deal there. Now let's flip this over. Just while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and take care of my ground. Okay, let's get rid of all this crap and see. I should have some wrenches like that. Yeah, they're 10 millimeter. Yeah, this doesn't look factory. It just doesn't. Oh, and again, don't get me wrong. Small pots are not necessarily bad. There's a lot of import pots that are small that are fine. There's a lot of USA pots that are small that are fine. These are garbage. So, they're garbage. Save those just in case. All right, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Okay, all stripped out, looking good. Let's take a look at this nut. Sorry about that. See if I can just pull it off. This is cheap plastic. I mean, yeah, came right off. Nothing wrong with a plastic nut, but this, look, it's not even solid. So that's going to make a big difference right there. You get a piece of sandpaper and clean that out. I'm not really sanding it per se, I'm just cleaning it out. It's messy. Alright, I have a nut for it that I've already pretty well shaped. Hang on. Okay, so this nut, I pretty well already shaped it. I'm going to take it down a little bit more, and all I'm doing is this is a synthetic bone nut. It'll be better than what was on there for sure. I'm just using a little bit of 220 grit sandpaper. Taking that down just a little bit. That's just about right. Hang on, I'm going to do a little bit more of this, and we'll go ahead and install the nut really quick. Okay, that is about it. That's going to be nice, and we'll definitely have to file it, once we get the strings on, and sand some around it to make it nice and smooth. These frets, actually, other than being tarnished, are in good shape. The first one is the only one that has a couple divots, so I will probably just re-crown that one. But let's put this nut in And normally, I'll be honest, people use different things for nuts. Some people use super glue. Some people use different. I use just a tiny bit of Elmer's usually because the string tension holds the nut in place. I just want this to keep it from moving too much, so I'll use this or just a dab of wood glue, depending, which I might have to do. My Elmer's doesn't seem to be coming out. There we go. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. We'll do it this way. Use a toothpick, which works fine. But I don't ever want the nut to be really glued in too tight because, you know, if it has to be replaced, that makes it a pain. I use very little, just a tiny bit. So really the toothpick works great. Spread that out. And just let it sit there. Okay. So let's make sure that the new pots and everything fit. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. We're gonna work on this Def Leppard Lion guitar a little bit more. Off camera, what I did is I had to drill these holes out just a little for the full size pots, and the way I do that is I just put some painter's tape over them so there's no chip out, and I barely had to, so I used a two-step method. I used a drill bit that was just about the same size and went through, and then the next size up, and that way, you know, again, no chip out. I put the switch in, it fit fine. I haven't tightened it all the way yet though, but I will. But let's go ahead and put these in. First off, I want to make sure that they don't stick out too far. I might have to adjust that. No, I think that's going to be good. I think. Let me see here. I'm going to put a knob on it. I don't know if this will fit. These knobs will fit. Oh yeah, that's going to be perfect. Okay. Yeah. All right. Good deal. So I'm just going to put all these in, and then we'll solder them up. Hang on a second. Let me open up this hardware. Okay. So I do have. I'm using 500K pots since these are humbuckers. And I just hand tightened them because I may need to move them around some as I solder them. A lot of people solder this stuff outside of the guitar, and actually that's a nice way to do it. I do it that way sometimes. Right now, I'm not. There's plenty of room in here, so I don't think I'll have any issues. Another reason to hand tighten them though, because if it gets kind of tight and I feel like I need to, I can just pull it out and solder it that way. All right, so let me double check. I do believe red is the bridge and yellow is the neck. Yes. So first thing I want to do is put rid of some of that. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do that to both of these, and then we'll start prepping everything and get it soldered. So the first thing I want to do is tin these. Just going to get a little bit of solder on them. Get them out of the way here. That's all you have to do. Already have a little on that. Do the same with this. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and tin the ground too. All right, should be good. Okay, so positive goes here. And go ahead and pop that in. Blood out. And then we're going to put our capacitor from there to the center of the tone. So I'm just going to stick them both in there so we can solder them at once. Oops. There we go. Well, my fingers are not cooperating today. Try doing this side first. There we go. That's going to work. All right. All right. Then this is the ground. I'm going to remove that ground first. First thing I do is I put a blob of solder down. Doesn't have to be big, just a little bit. There we go. Because we're also going to ground this pot from there as well. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to cut a little piece of wire to go from the third post to the body of the pot. And doesn't need to be long. Sometimes these are long enough you can just bend them up and do it, but these pots are not. So I'm going to use a little piece of wire. Use my needle nose pliers and just kind of pull it through. Well, that will make it a little easier to solder. All right. And then I'm going to put another bit of solder right here. There we go. There we go. All right. And then this is going to go to the switch. Hang on, I'll cut a piece of wire. Okay. Yeah, I know this is kind of boring. There's not a lot to see, but I'm going to tin this. Use my needle nose. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of the rest of this. I'm going to do, actually, this grounds to here. I'm going to do that and come right back to you. Okay. It's all wired up. Haven't tightened it completely yet. Let's see if she's working okay. Should be. Okay. Let's see here. All right. All right. All we got to do is button her up. Phase 1 is over. All that's left to do now is well, string it and set it up. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, listen to Rifle every day. Rock on. Love one another.